my name is Cheyenne and this is my oratory. January of my ninth grade year, I started to miss days of school. 3, 4, even 5 out of the 5 days that I went to school, I didn't go. And I had no idea what was wrong with me. I used to make up excuses like, I'm not feeling well, I have a migraine, I just threw up, which most of the time I didn't. Don't tell my mom. I really struggled and I had no idea what was going on. But my mom, her mother instincts kicked in and she had a little inkling on what it could be. Back in 5th grade, I had something called separation anxiety. Basically, if I was ever away from my mom, I just would fall apart. And it wasn't just because I wanted to be with my mom all the time. It was because I was so scared that something was going to happen to me. I was scared. And so I knew that being home or being with my mother was protection. So I wouldn't go to the bathroom with the door shut. I know, gross. And every time I took a shower, we had to take down the outside curtain, so it was just a clear curtain, so I could see. It was that bad. So my mom looked back on everything, and she thought, what if it's anxiety? And on my point of view, I was looking at my own symptoms. And I asked my grandmother, what do you think this is? Do you think it's anxiety? She didn't think it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. My mom scheduled me an appointment with a doctor specialized for anxiety. And eventually I got a diagnosis. But after that, even after getting a therapist that was good for me, I still struggled with school. I struggled with getting myself out of bed in the morning. The next year, I was going to the actual high school. 9th grade was technically high school, but at our school, we don't have it in the building. So I was preparing and I thought I could do it. I started my 10th grade year and I went every week, but I missed a day. Almost every single week, at least a day. But what was going on with me? They weren't quite sure. Schools need to be more focused on mental illness and suicide numbers so that we can reduce the numbers and help our students. Now, children under the age of 17 really struggle, and that's nothing for anybody else. Obviously, the suicide rates go for everybody. But today I will be focusing specifically on children and teens. Only 6 in 10 children that have been diagnosed with anxiety between the years 3 and 17 have actually received treatment. And for the behavioral disorders, that's only 5 in 10. Now that may sound like it's pretty good, but actually, if you think about the 4 in 10 that aren't getting treatment, or the 5 in 10, what can we do to help them? Those children that are still in schools, we still have a connection to them. We can help them. Now I'd like to move on to suicide. This is a big and sensitive topic and one that I'm very familiar with as a high school student. Last year, my high school lost 3 of our very own students to suicide. It's very unfortunate and a hard loss. And every time, at least one of the times, I remember the faculty sent out a presentation. A presentation basically just for me to summarize the fact, they just said don't do it, basically. But what can schools do to fix that problem? Let's focus on what schools are doing right now. My school was part of a trial to add a wellness center. Now, what that is basically a room in our school where we have couches, chairs, music, hot cocoa, even a massage chair that was just recently donated. Now, it's not just somewhere for us to go and have fun. It's somewhere for, if you're really struggling, you can go. Now, here's how you get there. Let's say you're really panicking in class and you just can't handle it. The first instance, your teacher's lecturing. You raise your hand. They don't want to answer, but you say, "May I have a wellness center pass?" They won't question you. They will hand you a wellness center pass. And you are allowed to go down to the wellness center and take the time you need. This is your escape. This is your time to get back and center and ground yourself. Now, another instance is a much easier instance, and you may just walk up to the teacher and ask them for a pass. And they'll just give it to you. The nice thing about this is that we have so many opportunities with our school. Our school is so very lucky to have this. And our students as well. Now, what can schools do to be better? I mean, we are one of the very few schools that are lucky like this, but what can other schools and even our school do to make this easier on our students? One, we need to give our teachers more training. We need to train our teachers in mental illness and how to help their students. Teachers are not always prepared for it, and we need to help them be prepared. There was a study done by Superproof, and it says, although many schools do offer training, particularly for support staff, in a survey, 59% of teachers said that their schools did not devote enough time and resources to mental health. 45% said mental health training had been inadequate, and 32% said they had not received any training at all. Now, look, just like I had emphasized before, yes, these numbers are on the lower end, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing to change. These teachers are not being educated enough, and by simply putting them through mental illness and mental health training, we can reduce the numbers of mental illnesses and struggles in the school, especially growing on, and as they go out into the world, we can improve our success rate. Now, what we need to do is we need to look at our students. We need to realize what our students are struggling with and know that they are not alone, but we need to make them know that because they don't know that right now. We need to implement some sort of training for teachers, or even if you are lucky enough to have a mental health staff on board, something for the students to turn to. We need to at least have that. Thank you.